Before cigarettes, before tobacco farms, before cities, humans were already standing beside fire and breathing smoke. At first, it was not a choice. Smoke followed the wind, entered caves, and filled the lungs of everyone nearby. Imagine a cold, prehistoric night, a small group huddled around flames, while darkness pressed against the edge of the camp. There was no lamp, no house, no window to close, and no clean air warning. There was only fire, warmth, fear, and a thick gray cloud rising from burning wood. For ancient humans, smoke was not a habit yet. It was part of survival. Fire cooked their food. Fire scared animals. Fire kept the night away. But every gift from fire came with a price, and that price entered the body through breath. A child coughs. An elder wipes burning eyes. A hunter turns away from the wind. And still, nobody leaves the fire. Because outside the firelight, the world is colder, darker, and full of teeth. In the Stone Age, choking smoke beside the fire could be safer than clean air alone in the dark. That is the first strange truth about smoking. It begins with danger, not pleasure. The body hates smoke. The eyes water. The throat tightens. The lungs fight back. So why would any human ever decide to inhale smoke on purpose? The answer does not begin with addiction. It begins with observation, accident, memory, and the ancient human habit of noticing patterns. One fire smells different. One plant burns differently. One smoke makes insects vanish. Another smoke makes people cough until they run from the cave. Another smoke changes how the body feels. For people without science, one burning plant could look like poison, medicine, magic, or a message from the unseen world. And once humans noticed that, smoke stopped being only smoke. It became something to fear, something to test, and eventually something to control. This is why the origin of smoking is much older than the cigarette. The first person who chose smoke may have been risking their life before they understood what they were doing. And that dangerous choice may have started beside the oldest teacher humanity ever had, fire. Long before writing, farming, pottery, or kings, fire was already changing human life. It turned raw meat into safer food and cold nights into survivable nights. It changed caves into shelters and open camps into places a tribe could defend. But fire also did something stranger. It transformed the natural world into invisible chemicals. Ancient humans did not have words like alkaloid, terpene, resin, or vapor. They only had eyes, noses, coughing throats, and memories passed from mouth to mouth. Dry grass burned fast. Wet wood smoked heavily. Resin cracked and popped in the flames, sending sharp smells into the night air. A wrong branch could fill the shelter with smoke so bitter that children crawled toward the entrance. A useful branch could keep mosquitoes away long enough for exhausted bodies to sleep. That difference mattered, because sleep itself was a survival problem in the ancient world. A person who could not sleep became slower, weaker, and easier to lose. So when smoke protected the group remembered the plant. Memory became the first notebook. Around the fire, one elder points at a bundle of leaves, warning the children never to burn that one inside the cave. Another bundle is kept close, tied carefully with fiber. That one calms insects, masks smells, or makes the air feel easier to breathe. No one calls this medicine yet, but the behavior is already medical. Because medicine often begins before language, as a repeated action that keeps someone alive. The campfire becomes a classroom, but a dangerous one. Every lesson is tested on real lungs, real skin, real children, real fear. If the tribe remembers wrong, a healing smoke can become a killing smoke before sunrise. This is the brutal intelligence of prehistoric life. Humans learn not because the world was safe, but because the world punished ignorance immediately. At some point, someone noticed that not all smoke only hurt. One plant made the air sharp. Another made the body feel warm, light, or strangely calm. Maybe it happened by accident, when leaves were thrown onto a fire with ordinary wood. Maybe it happened during cooking, while seeds and stems fell into glowing ash. A hunter with aching legs sits too close to the smoke, then realizes the pain feels farther away than before. No one understands the chemistry, but everyone understands the expression on his face when he stops groaning. That is how knowledge begins in a world without books. Not as a theory, but as a moment someone survives and another person remembers. The tribe watches the fire more carefully after that. They remember which valley the plant came from. They remember the shape of the leaves. They remember the smell. They remember who felt better, who coughed, and who should never breathe it again. One night, a curious young man reaches for the same plant, and every elder in the shelter turns to watch. This time, the smoke is not accidental. This time, the group is testing danger with memory as their only protection. He does not inhale deeply at first. He leans in, breathes lightly, pulls back, and waits. The fire cracks. The cave goes silent. Nothing terrible happens, so the tribe learns one more tiny piece of the world. A dangerous plant becomes a known plant. A frightening smoke becomes a controlled smoke. And control is one of the oldest differences between survival and disaster. This is where smoking may have truly begun. Not with a pipe, not with a cigarette, not with a market, but with a human mind asking a dangerous question. What happens if we do that again? In the ancient world, curiosity was not cute. Curiosity could feed you, heal you, or bury you. But humans were built to notice cause and effect. A fruit made someone sick. A root stopped hunger. A smoke changed pain. Every discovery came with a body attached to it. And every body taught the tribe something, whether it survived or not. Over generations, this became plant knowledge. Not written on paper, but carried in warnings, stories, songs, and rituals. A child learns that some leaves are food, some are poison, and some belong only to the fire. That last category may be the beginning of intentional smoke use. Plants burned for insects. Plants burned for smell. Plants burned for pain. And eventually, plants burned because they changed the mind. Imagine the first time a whole group felt the same strange calm while wolves moved somewhere beyond the firelight. For modern people, this sounds like recreation. For ancient humans, it may have felt like protection, medicine, or a sign. The smoke rose upward. The flames moved like living things. Faces appeared and disappeared in orange light. A nervous tribe could turn fear into rhythm, breathing, chanting, and shared attention. That is why smoke did not stay random for long. Humans wrapped it in meaning, because meaning helps control danger. Rules appeared. Who could use it? When to burn it? How much was too much? And once rules appeared, smoke had become more than survival. It had become ritual. By the time history begins to speak clearly, humans are already using smoke with purpose. Not casually, not randomly, but inside ceremonies, healing practices, and rules older than writing. In many ancient worlds, smoke was treated as something that moved between places. It began in the fire, entered the body, then vanished into the sky. That made it powerful, because ancient people saw meaning in anything that crossed boundaries. Smoke crossed the boundary between plant and breath, between earth and air, between the visible and the invisible. Inside a dark shelter, a healer places dried herbs on hot stones while a sick child struggles to breathe. To modern eyes, treating lungs with smoke can look like madness. But to them, the logic was direct. If sickness lives in the chest, medicine must reach the chest. The lungs became one of humanity's earliest delivery systems. Some smoke warmed the throat. Some carried strong plant oils. Some made pain easier to endure when nothing else could be done. And in a world without antibiotics, sometimes a little better was enough to matter. A wounded hunter lies beside the fire, shaking with fever, while the tribe burns herbs and waits for morning. No one knows whether the smoke will save him, but doing nothing feels worse. So the group acts, watches, remembers, and hopes. This is the emotional heart of ancient medicine, not certainty, but desperate pattern recognition. If the hunter survives, the smoke gains power and memory. If he dies, the story changes, but the lesson remains. Either way, the tribe learns which plants belong near sickness and which belong far away. That learning becomes tradition. Tradition becomes ritual, and ritual becomes a way to make danger repeatable. On a cold steppe night, stones glow red inside a small tent, and hemp smoke thickens the air. Bodies sit close together in the enclosed darkness. Breathing becomes shared. Fear becomes rhythm. The smoke changes the room, but the room also changes the people inside it. They are no longer separate frightened bodies around a fire. They become one group, breathing the same strange air. This may be one reason smoke became attached to ceremony across human cultures. Shared altered states can make people feel bonded, trusted, and connected to something larger than themselves. For a fragile species, that feeling was not useless. It could help a group stay together. It could make fear easier to carry. It could turn a dangerous night into a remembered ceremony. Outside the tent, the ancient world remains freezing, hungry, and violent. Inside, smoke gives the group a shared mind. That does not mean every smoke ritual was safe. Ancient humans learned through bodies, and bodies sometimes paid the price. Too much smoke could choke. The wrong plant could poison. A closed shelter could become a trap. That is why rules mattered. Ritual was not only belief. Ritual was a safety system built from generations of mistakes. Only certain people prepared the plants. Only certain moments allowed the smoke. Only certain amounts were considered wise. The ceremony protected the group from the same danger it invited. And that is what separates sacred smoke from careless smoke: control, memory, and meaning. But not every ancient smoke story belonged to caves, healers, or cold ritual tents. Across the ocean, another plant was waiting. Tobacco grew in the Americas long before Europe knew it existed. For many indigenous cultures, tobacco was not simply something to consume. It could be prayer, medicine, agreement, offering, protection, or a bridge to the spirit world. Smoke carried words where voices could not go. It rose from the mouth, disappeared into the sky, and seemed to carry intention with it. A healer exhales smoke over a sick body, while the family watches as if breath itself might pull life back. This was not the modern image of someone smoking from boredom. It was controlled, symbolic, and often surrounded by rules that gave the act weight. That difference matters, because an ancient ritual and a modern addiction can involve the same plant, but not the same world. Then, in 1492, Europeans arrived in the Caribbean and saw tobacco smoke for the first time. They did not fully understand what they were watching. They saw glowing leaves, inhaled breath, coughing bodies, and a custom older than their maps. And then, almost immediately, they tried it. On a Caribbean shore, confused sailors cough through sacred smoke, not realizing they are touching a future global obsession. From there, tobacco moved faster than almost any ancient ritual should move. It crossed oceans, entered ports, filled markets, and became a product. A plant with ceremony became a plant with price. In Europe, tobacco changed from sacred breath into fashion, medicine, status, and habit. Then industry changed it again. Machines made smoke cheap, portable, repeatable, and easy to sell. The cigarette compressed an ancient behavior into a tiny object designed for endless repetition. The fire circle became a factory line, and sacred smoke became gray clouds above machines. This is the great moral turn in the story. Ancient humans used smoke inside memory, warning, ceremony, and control. Modern industry learned how to remove the ritual and keep only the craving. That is not the same discovery. It is the same human weakness, captured by a very different machine. A shaman near a fire and an executive near a cigarette advertisement may touch the same plant, but they are not telling the same story. One world wrapped danger in rules. The other wrapped danger in packaging. And somewhere between those two worlds, smoke lost much of its meaning. So when did ancient humans start smoking? The honest answer is that we do not know the first moment. Wood rots. Leaves vanish. Pipes break. Camps disappear under earth. Stone tools survive for millions of years, but breath leaves almost nothing behind. The first chosen breath of smoke may have happened in a cave so old that even the cave is gone. But we can still see the shape of the behavior. Fire taught humans that the world could change when burned. Plants taught humans that nature could heal, poison, calm, or confuse. Memory taught humans which dangers could be touched and which should never be touched again. Ritual taught humans how to control what they could not fully understand. And breath connected all of it: fire, body, fear, medicine, and meaning. In the dark, a small human leans toward the smoke, not because it is safe, but because it might teach something. That may be the oldest truth in this story. Humans survived by avoiding danger, but also by studying danger closely enough to use it. Smoking began somewhere between accident and intention, between poison and medicine, between fear and curiosity. But smoke was only one dangerous experiment. Next, ancient humans faced an even deadlier question. How did they know which plants were medicine and which were poison?